The desert air of Qatar carried no warning. One moment, the sky above Al Udeid Air Base stretched flat and quiet under the amber wash of a Gulf evening. Aircraft hangars silent, runways standing at readiness, the low hum of communications equipment cycling through its endless electronic watch. Then the alert sirens split the air. Radar screens lit across the base's operations center as inbound tracks materialized on displays, dozens of them converging from the northwest in a fast, dense formation. The Patriot batteries spun toward their firing solutions. The intercept sequence began. But 50 ballistic missiles were already in flight, traveling at hypersonic speeds across hundreds of kilometers of open sky, each one aimed at the nerve center of American military power in the entire Middle East. The explosions, when they came, were felt across Doha. Concussive waves rolled outward from the base perimeter. Plumes of smoke climbed above the horizon, visible from the Qatari capital. In a single coordinated barrage, Iran had done something no adversary had attempted on this scale in decades. It had struck directly at the forward headquarters of United States Central Command. This was not simply a missile attack. It was a declaration that no American installation in the Gulf region could consider itself beyond reach. According to Iranian state media and official statements released by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the barrage targeting Al Udeid Air Base was a deliberate and calculated act of retaliation. Iranian officials stated that the IRGC launched 50 ballistic missiles at the base in direct response to what Tehran described as relentless American military aggression against the Iranian homeland. Specifically, the joint United States and Israeli air campaign launched on February 28, 2026, which targeted Iranian nuclear facilities, IRGC command structures, and ballistic missile production sites across the country. According to Iranian military commanders, the missiles used in the strike included Khaybar-Shekan solid-fuel ballistic missiles, a domestic Iranian system with a range of approximately 2,000 kilometers, as well as Quad liquid fuel variants. Iranian military spokesman stated that the IRGC had assigned one missile for every American bomb dropped on Iranian soil. According to Iranian state media, the attack achieved multiple successful strikes on the base, including hits on air defense infrastructure and operational buildings. Iranian officials characterized Al Udeid not as a Qatari facility, but as, in their words, an American forward base of aggression, and therefore, they argued, a legitimate military target under the framework of self-defense. The IRGC statement made explicit what had previously been only implied. Any sovereign territory hosting United States military forces was, in their calculation, a co-belligerent. But the story quickly became far more complicated. Before we break down what exactly was damaged inside Al Udeid and what it means for the United States' ability to sustain its air campaign over Iran, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the latest dramatic developments shaping global geopolitics. According to Qatar's Ministry of Defense, the situation on the ground differed significantly from the account presented by Iranian state media. Qatari defense officials stated that the country's integrated air defense network, which operates in coordination with United States air defense batteries permanently stationed at Al Udeid, engaged the incoming barrage and successfully intercepted the vast majority of the missiles launched. According to Qatari authorities, air defense systems neutralized most of the salvo before impact. However, officials acknowledged that at least one Iranian ballistic missile penetrated the defense envelope and struck the base. Satellite imagery analyzed in the aftermath revealed noticeable structural damage to a geodesic radar dome on the base's perimeter, a dome that housed a modernization enterprise terminal, a system used for encrypted, high-bandwidth United States military communications. U.S. media reported that the broader Iranian campaign across the Gulf region has systematically targeted communications infrastructure at American bases, satellite dishes, radomes, and relay buildings at installations in Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates have all sustained damage in separate strikes. Pentagon officials, according to U.S. media, conceded in closed-door congressional briefings that they were struggling to intercept the sustained waves of Iranian missiles and drones. President Trump publicly dismissed the Iranian attack as a very weak response. But analysts noted a significant gap between the administration's public posture and the operational picture emerging from the Pentagon's own internal assessments. Between these narratives lies a complex reality that analysts are still working to understand. What does the targeting of Al Udeid airbase actually mean in operational terms? The answer is that it strikes at the single most important military hub the United States operates in the entire Middle East. Al Udeid Air Base, located approximately 30 kilometers southwest of Doha, Qatar, is not simply a military installation. It is the forward headquarters of United States Central Command, the unified combatant command responsible for all American military operations across 21 countries stretching from Egypt to Pakistan. Nearly 11,000 American military personnel are stationed at Al Udeid at any given time. The base hosts more than 100 aircraft, including strategic bombers, aerial refueling tankers, surveillance platforms, and fighter aircraft. Its long, reinforced runways were built to accommodate the full spectrum of American air power, from B-52 Stratofortresses to E-8 Joint Stars battlefield surveillance aircraft. Qatar has invested more than $8 billion in upgrading Al Udeid's infrastructure over the past 2 decades, including $1.4 billion on troop housing and airfield improvements alone. The base served as the command node for the air campaigns over Afghanistan and Iraq, and has been the staging ground for American counterterrorism operations across South Asia and the Horn of Africa. When Iran targeted Al Udeid, it was not striking at a regional outpost. It was striking at the brain of the entire American military enterprise in the Middle East, the facility through which strike orders flow, through which intelligence is processed, and through which the air campaign against Iran itself is being coordinated. The message was clear. The United States has no sanctuary in the Gulf. The immediate military reaction was measurable and swift. U.S. forces across the region elevated force protection levels to their highest state. Air defense batteries in Bahrain, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia entered full active alert. According to U.S. media, the Pentagon scrambled additional naval assets toward the Gulf of Oman in response to the escalation. The human cost had already been registered elsewhere in the campaign. 6 American service members were killed when an Iranian drone struck an operations compound in Kuwait, the first confirmed American fatalities of the conflict. The regional governmental response was immediate and fractured. The United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Iraq all closed their national airspaces. Gulf state leaders expressed deep frustration. Sources told reporters that several Gulf governments were furious that Washington had launched its air campaign against Iran without providing advance notification, and that American military forces had failed to serve as the deterrent their hosts had assumed they provided. According to the Atlantic Council, multiple Gulf governments began internal reviews to determine whether force majeure clauses could be invoked in contracts tied to their partnerships with U.S. military installations. That fracturing of alliance confidence has consequences far beyond Qatar's airspace. Global energy markets registered the full weight of the confrontation almost immediately. Brent crude oil prices surged from approximately $70 per barrel before the conflict began to above $110 within days, a gain of more than 28%. At one point during Asian trading, Brent briefly spiked to $119 per barrel. According to CSIS, approximately 20 million barrels per day of crude oil and refined products normally flow through the Strait of Hormuz. roughly 20% of total global supply. And Iran's effective blockade left approximately 200 tanker ships stranded and unable to transit. Oil prices climbed. Shipping insurance premiums surged. Aviation fuel costs spiked. Major Gulf carriers grounded thousands of flights, with Emirates Airlines among the hardest hit, generating immediate losses in tourism revenue across the UAE and Qatar. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell more than 400 points in a single session, and broader markets across Europe and Asia followed. Diplomatic channels registered the strain in parallel. The United Kingdom, France, and Germany issued a joint statement condemning the Iranian strikes on Gulf neighbors and calling for an immediate resumption of dialogue, though the statement carried no enforcement mechanism. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session. Domestically within the United States, the political pressure on the administration was building on two fronts simultaneously. Members of Congress questioned why Gulf allies were not notified in advance of the strikes that triggered this retaliation, while others demanded a more aggressive military posture to suppress Iranian missile capabilities before additional American personnel were killed. Iran maintains that its strike on Al Udeid Air Base was a proportional, lawful act of self-defense in response to a joint American and Israeli military assault on Iranian sovereign territory. The United States and Qatar maintain that the attack was an act of aggression against a critical multinational military installation operating within Qatari borders, and that the overwhelming majority of the Iranian salvo was defeated by integrated air defenses. Both accounts contain partial truths. What they share is the shape of a conflict that has moved well past the threshold of proxy skirmishes and tactical exchanges. The United States and Iran are now engaged in a direct and escalating military confrontation, one in which American bases across 5 Gulf nations have been struck, American troops have been killed, and the foundational architecture of American military power projection in the region is being tested in real time. The fragile balance that has governed the Gulf for decades, the quiet compact between American military presence and regional host governments, is under strain it has never faced before. Gulf states that once viewed the American military umbrella as an unambiguous guarantee of security are now confronting the possibility that hosting U.S. forces makes them a target rather than protecting them from one. The decisions made by those governments in the coming days and weeks will determine whether American military strategy in the Middle East retains the operational foundation it has built over 30 years. Will this strike on Al Udeid remain an isolated moment of escalation within a conflict moving toward resolution? Or is it the opening of a new and permanent phase of direct confrontation between the United States and Iran, one from which neither side has yet found an exit? Stay tuned for further updates as this situation continues to develop. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss the latest dramatic geopolitical developments shaping the world.